The NFL season is back, and with that comes the injuries. Every team faces them in some capacity, but some teams just seem to get the short end of the stick. I'm here with Josh Toback to break down which NFL injuries seem to be giving teams the most trouble so far this year. So Josh, we have seen a lot of injuries, but which one has been the quote-unquote death sentence the worst that you've seen for any team?
A lot is an understatement. These past few years, there's been so many injuries in the league, but especially with players who just signed a contract, and I think the obvious answer for this is Jimmy Garoppolo. I mean, the 49ers were investing so much into him. Every draft pick they had this year was to invest, making the team better around him. But then he goes out of bounds on a non-contact play, and bam, out for the season. C.J. Beathard is a decent quarterback. He's actually had a good game against the Chargers. 2 touchdowns, 298 yards, 2 interceptions, which is actually better than any game Garoppolo had this season. But the problem is, he's not a long-time solution. So what do you do in this situation? Do you try and muddle together a 6-10 season, or do you tank and go 2-14?
So if you're the Niners, what do you do?
What do I do? Well, I run the ball. Here's the thing.
And you stick with C.J. Beathard.
Yeah, well, you have to. I mean, there's no free agent quarterbacks out there right now that can help. At least ones that the 49ers would be willing to sign. Matt Breida was the leading rusher in the NFL for 2 weeks leading into the season, but then they stopped handing him the football. 9 carries against the Chargers. They almost won that game, mind you. Their defense is not terrible, but they need to run the ball more. I understand he's battling a shoulder injury, but, I mean, he's still running the ball. He's still playing. So if they want to, at least be passable in this season and not completely just fold up and cry now that Garoppolo's gone, I think you have to hand the football off more. You got to play grindhouse football. Jared McKinnon's gone too, which is another kind of sad thing for the 49ers.
Yeah, ACL injuries, couple already in San Francisco. Sticking with C.J. Beathard, though, we'll see how that goes. Which team would you say got the short end of the stick, so the worst luck with injuries so far this season?
I mean, I wanted to say the Patriots with Isaiah Wynn, Rex Burkhead, Jeremy Hill, but those are more quantity. I'm going for quality. Atlanta is just suffering so much right now. You've got Julio Jones dinged up here and there. He's not playing to the fullest capabilities. Yet to catch a touchdown this year. Takk McKinley was questionable entering the Bengals and kind of showed. You got Keanu Neal out for the season. Deion Jones out for the season. This is showing, right? They're the third worst pass defense. They have the third worst pass defense in the league right now. They are the first team. This is a fun fact, by the way. They are the first team since the 1966 New York Giants to score 30 points in back-to-back games and lose. They did this last week, and they did this week against the Saints and against the Bengals. Bengals aren't as good of a defense as the Saints, but the Saints have had an off season. Now, Matt Ryan's doing his part. Calvin Ridley's doing his part. But this team is just being thrown through the ringer. They are not going to win games if they have to keep losing shootouts like this.
How valuable does it show Tevin Coleman to be with Devontae Freeman out, and the running game hasn't really dropped off? So how valuable is Tevin Coleman to the Falcons?
Tevin Coleman is one of the best second-string running backs in the league. I mean, Devonta Freeman being out is obviously not great, but Tevin Coleman does have, the goods to run the football as well as he can. But Matt Ryan is the key of that team. They've always been a pass-first team. I mean, you can look at, their Super Bowl loss and how they kind of went right to throwing the ball. Last year, they were also really relying on throwing the ball. I don't think Tevin Coleman's as much, or Devonta Freeman being out is as much of an impact as, their defensive players being out. Because they're still scoring points. That's not the problem. They're scoring a ton of points, even with Julio Jones a bit dinged up and Devonta Freeman. But their defense is just letting them down. It's actually kind of upsetting. They should have won that game against Cincinnati.
Yeah, Matt Ryan's certainly doing his part. Defense, though, has to get healthy. Devontae Freeman has to get healthy, too. Josh, thank you. That's all the time we have left. When we come back, we'll head to the ring to talk some boxing.